Hey everybody, and welcome. Thanks for joining us today. I am Matt, Client Success Manager here at White House Custom Color, and I am joined by
Kristina.
So we are going to talk about sales today. So I'm on a time schedule. We're going to keep these 3 sections to 10 minutes apiece, so let's get into it.
Well, and Matt, we are live, so if you have any questions, you can chime in. Caitlin's going to answer them, or us. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. And as long as we're talking about that, if you would like to subscribe to our YouTube channel, make sure and go ahead and do that at White House Custom Color, and follow us on Instagram at WHCC Pro. So if you are here with us today, we're going to assume that you're watching because you're serious about in-person sales, starting to sell products, or you're going to add to your sales knowledge to increase your average. So we're going to take that as our assumption as we're trying to help today. So we're going to break this down to 3 steps. We're going to talk about preparing for the sale. We're going to talk about the actual execution of the sale, and we're also going to talk about closing the sale. That's something that I think is overlooked too many times. So let's jump into the preparation for the day. Yeah. So you're obviously going to go out and you're going to photograph your sessions, family, senior, engagement, portrait, whatever that may be. Okay, so you're going to go out and you're going to photograph, hundreds of images. You need to narrow that down. So we're going to start with culling that down. I would recommend for an in-person sale keeping that to around 75 or less. You start going above that and it becomes really overwhelming for the person doing the sale as well as the client. There's just too many things to choose from.
And Matt, you kind of circle back around to your 75. You have a pretty good rhyme or reason to that as we go through products,
I
right?
do.
And these are pretty good.
Yep, exactly. So when you're doing that, you're going to get it to 75 or less, and then you are going to go ahead and build your project in studio. So I'm going to let you take over for a second here, Kristina, and show everybody how to find Studio on the website and how to build a project.
So I'm going to jump over to the website here. I am on our main page, white@WHCC.com. The easiest way I go to is if you go to ordering over here, and you can kind of see there's some tools over here. So if you go to Sales Session iPad app, and on here, this is a really great page with everything on here, kind of what Matt's going to run through a little bit today and more. And again, you can run your sales multiple ways. Matt's just going to show you how he feels comfortable and how we've been doing lots of the sales here with our some of our top clients. But this kind of just goes through how creating a project, downloading the app, and start selling. It is really simple. Yep. Again, this is all free, but this is kind of showing you what Matt's going to go through: slideshow, image review. The coolest part, I think, of the whole app is designing wall collages, which Matt will go through, and how to actually utilize this to make higher profit sales, right? And Matt,
yep.
I love that you get text every day from some of our top clients saying, "I listened to you, Matt, and I just made a huge sale," right? Like
in fact, I got one this morning.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's pretty awesome. And then actually even ordering from the app or from the project that you made. So again, you can download it, create a project here, but the website here is a really good tool to start with. We also have help where you can make a one-on-one consult and talk to someone about using Studio 2, but Matt will go through. So that's kind of a little overview.
Awesome. So I'm going to take the ball back here.
Yep.
So once you have the project built, it is automatically going to sync to your app on your iPad. Mm-hmm. Studio for iPad is iPad specific. I know we're going to get that question. Yes, it is. So we'll just take that one right out of the queue here to begin with. Wonderful tool. It, like Kristina said, it costs nothing. As long as you're a White House Custom Color client, you get to use this. It's a fantastic thing. Okay, so you've got it culled down. You've built your project. You've synced with your iPad, okay? I really want to stress that it's very, very important to prepare and to have your ducks in a row for your sales session. Now, Kristina mentioned that this does have the capability of doing wall displays. Very, very important to increasing your sales to take the time to design a few of those. I always recommend to people you have an option that has a triptych or a set of 3, something that's a more traditional set of 4, and then maybe like a 5 or a 7, in hopes that you're going to sell the big one. But if you don't sell that one, you're going to land in the middle one most of the time. With those 3 options, it gives you a place to jump off, because trust me, when you start doing these, and if you don't mentally and emotionally prepare, you are going to be extremely nervous. And maybe even if you do mentally and emotionally prepare, you're going to be nervous. So take the time, build some walls. It gives you a jumping off point with the clients. Now, we're going to switch to the top-down camera here, and I'm going to show you just some of the simple wall designs that I did before we jumped on today. So like I said, I'm doing a set of 3. Now this is actually a framed piece and utilizing one of our preset walls that's in the iPad app already. It's a great traditional looking collage wall grouping above a couch. It gives a sense of scale. Wonderful place to start there. So that's my first one. And then I did a more traditional set of 4. I intentionally built this one on just a plain wall. Because your goal with all of this, if you're able to, is to get somebody to send you a picture of the wall that they actually want to design. That is going to be your best thing, and I can tell you're ready to talk here.
So Matt, for anyone listening, right, like you saying build color your images, got
Yep.
it, okay, be prepared, and then build some wall collages. That kind of scares me at first, right? I'm like, what do you mean build some wall collages? But what
Yep.
you're showing here is pretty simple, pretty easy to do on the app, and like you're going to show here like
Yes.
how simple is dragging it up. But that typically would be a scary thing to do, but everyone that you talk to and uses this, it's pretty simple, right?
It is as easy as it gets. What I always tell people, if they haven't used the app before, it's going to take you a couple times running through it just to learn where all the buttons are at and figure out all the options. The awesome thing about this, well, one of the awesome things about this is it has full knowledge of our wall display. So you don't have to enter anything, you don't have to put sizes in, you don't have to put the frames in there, you don't have to photograph anything. It does it for you. All you have to do is log in with your account information. Okay, and then we're going to go back and I'm going to grab my last pre-designed collage here, and again I used one of our images that's actually included in the app in a stairway area. This is my 5-up, a little bit larger. I mixed framing and metals into this one because it's always good to mix up some surfaces in there. This literally took me, what, 5 minutes to do.
Yeah.
Now granted, I work in the app a lot, but once you do it a few times, it's just like clockwork. There's nothing about, you don't have to put it into Photoshop, you don't have to design, anything like that. The free app is wonderful. If you're not using it, start today, okay? All right, so let's bounce back here just a little bit.
Matt, do you want to show just real quick, like mess with this one just for a second?
Oh, sure.
Drag another
Yep.
one up there.
Absolutely. Okay, so if you can see from the camera here right now, so I have this set as a frame print as a 20 by 30. Let's just say that I want to change the size of that. Now you're going to see that it automatically changes up on the screen. I can adjust the cropping if I want to. If I want to come in closer on her, it's literally just spread your fingers and do a double tap and you're all set to go. If you want to change out the frame, you're able to do that. It's going to show you what it looks like in real time, which is super cool. Usually when I'm doing demos, I do the frame print side of this because it's fun to see those frames change. When you're also looking at this, just a good note, if you're using the app for sales, you're seeing all of this. You're seeing the options down below, you're seeing all the different frames available, the sizing, all those things. But if you're actually doing this for a sale for a client,
Like sharing screen or
yep,
something.
if you're sharing the screen, if you're using Apple TV or whatever you're going to share with, your client only sees this portion of it. They're not seeing the film strip below, they're not seeing the options. It keeps it very clean for them to look at because you don't need them to be overwhelmed. You want to stay focused, you want to control the sale, okay? All right, so keep in mind that remember, when you're working in sales, it does help you develop the ability to listen. Okay,
Yes.
As photographers, as artists, I think we're already very good at that, but sales develops that tremendously for you. And as you're doing this, as I'm talking to people, they get excited about doing this because they're like, oh my gosh, I did this, but what could I do, or what could I have done if I just suggested this? How about this? How about this? It almost gets to be a fun game, you know, in a way here. So make sure and prepare your space, have refreshments and everything ready to go for your clients so they feel really comfortable. I can see that I've already had 10 minutes, so I'm going to kick up the pace here a little bit. And make sure that you are showing the products that you want to sell. My mom used to have a retail business, and I can remember her saying when I was a kid, I never order anything for the store that I don't want to personally own, because if it doesn't sell, it becomes mine. Same thing applies in the camera or in the sales room. Make sure that you are showing product that you love, that you potentially have an actual print of in your house or the product in your house. It's always good to have those things to relate back to the sales. People can tell when you love something or when you're just simply trying to sell something.
Yeah, we get that question all the time. What should I sell? And our answer is like, what do you like?
Yep.
Pick one or two, start there, right?
Yep.
Pretty simple, but things that you actually like because you sell what you like, right?
Absolutely.
Matt, how long are the sessions that you normally suggest?
For the sales session?
Yes.
I would personally, for me, I book 2 hours.
Okay.
Now, some people are like, oh my gosh, that's way too much time. I can do it in 30 minutes or 45 minutes, but there is a method to my madness for 2 hours. Now, when I'm scheduling the appointment, I say most people can do it in an hour and a half, but I'm going to schedule 2 because I don't want you to be rushed. Okay, and I will say that right to a client. Being rushed is the kiss of death for a sales appointment. You don't want to be rushed. You want to take your time. You want to be able to listen. You don't want to have somebody, if you're scheduled from 12 to 2, somebody coming in at 2:05 because you are going to be stressed and people are going to realize that. So another preparation, and then we'll move into the actual execution of the sale. When you're sitting in your sales space, whether that is in your living room, if you have a dedicated studio space, whatever that may be, you want whatever your client is looking at, I consider to be the Gold Coast real estate of that sales session. So without you saying a word, if they're looking at your screen and you have a grouping of 3 here and a grouping of 4 here, you are subliminally and silently telling them those are the 2 things that you want them to purchase.
And that goes back to the simple show what you sell, right?
Absolutely. Yep. You absolutely have to show anything to sell it. A description is not going to get you there. Okay. So let's talk about a few of my favorite things. Okay. So I'm very excited about the new frames that we've launched this year. Personal favorites of mine. So this is going to be our Brimfield, and I'm going to bring this up here. And Connor's actually going to sneak in and get some details for us. This is a gorgeous molding.
Yes.
Priced very aggressively. It is solid wood. Feels wonderful. It feels extremely high-end. This was a direct request from several clients. We heard you, we listened, and now we have it. So definitely a piece of what I sell, and I can tell you from past experience, this has been my most popular molding that I ever sold in the studio. Okay, so let's drop that one down here, and then I'm going to bring up one of the new Hudson moldings as well. So framing here at White House is kind of like magic. You know, you select your surface, you select your frame, it gets assembled here by our artisans, it gets packaged up, it gets shipped to you, and it comes out of the magic box ready to deliver, which is amazing. It saves you tons of time. Make sure and check out the new frame options. If you haven't, they are in rows right now. You can get corners, you can order them, they are set to go. So
they're
really
online
excited
too,
about that.
so it's exciting.
Okay, perfect. Yep. All right, so let's move on. So framing is definitely one of my favorite things. I'm going to show you one more frame option here. So this is going to be a float frame. Now you can float frame pretty much anything you want. Float frames are perfect for high school seniors, for families, for weddings, for commercial, for you name it, it's perfect for it.
Add-on too, right? Like selling more money?
Absolutely. Yep, and if you're doing wall groupings, it's totally fine to do gallery wraps without the float frame, do some with the float frame, mix in some metals in the float frame, mix in a fine art print in a float frame. You can do whatever you want. Very versatile. If you're not using these moldings, definitely check them out in rows because they are wonderful as far as the wall groupings go, and for sales, they just sell themselves. Like Kristina said, perfect add-on, okay?
And Matt, too, you're showing just a few of your favorite frames. Again, we have tons of moldings, but we always tell people where to start. Like, pick your favorite, pick ones you like, and some of these are some of the ones that you like.
Just because White House has, you know, a bajillion products doesn't mean that you have to offer all those or give the clients that option. In fact, that will probably put them into paralysis. I would highly suggest, especially for your wall display, narrowing it down to 3 or 4 items that you really love, staying within those parameters of I'm going to do frame prints, I'm going to do metal prints, I'm going to do gallery wraps, and I'm going to offer acrylics. Those are my 4 things that I'm going to do. Keep your pricing simple. It is only going to serve you better when you're doing that.
And of course, if someone comes in, has something in mind, you could say, oh, I could do that, right? Like, you don't have to tell them or show them, and if someone's specific, that's okay too.
Yep.
But like you said, be prepared with your condensed line.
Yep, exactly. So moving into the sale, always take an authoritative tone when you're selling with somebody. That does not mean, and somebody's probably going to challenge me on this, that does not mean you have to be bossy. It does not mean that you have to be pushy. I think that's the opposite of what I'm saying. Develop and express your expertise. If there's one thing, another thing that I can stress during this, having a really good product knowledge base is going to be very important. If somebody says, tell me why this is better than this, you should have those answers prepared. Okay, it doesn't have to be overly technical. It just needs to be your opinion on why you feel that this would be a better fit. You are the subject matter expert. Okay, if you didn't hear that, I'll say it one more time. You're the subject matter expert. You are the artist. You are the salesperson. People want your opinion. If I go into a hardware store and I need help with something, I'm going to find somebody that can help me. You know, I don't know, so I need to find somebody to do that. You are that person in the sales appointment, so make sure that you take that role. I have literally written in front of my screen here, patience, 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 listen, listen, listen. Always listen to people's reactions all the way through. They are telling you what they like and what they don't like from beginning to end, from the slideshow to comparing side by side to doing all those things. They are going to be telling you in a few words all the things that they're thinking at that time. Always assume and suggest. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more here as we get into the closing part. But something that I stress is to assume the sale. You don't have to ask for it all the way along, because if you give people the option of a yes, no, do you like this, do you not like this, do you want this or not want this, people start to add things up in their mind. And if you're giving them the option every single step of the way, at a certain point, they're just going to start saying no. So you want to assume and suggest and move on. I think it's extremely powerful to use phrases like, if it was me, I would do this, because that's coming from my personal opinion, something I've done before, something that I know works, and people respect that. Another one that, this is a little bit more poignant, but if you're at the beginning, you're talking about wall design, say, I'm assuming that you would like to put a large portrait of your daughter on the wall. Now, I dare you to say no when your daughter is sitting next to you during a sales appointment. It's just a good step to do, or something good to say that's not a yes or no question.
Yeah, like assuming they value these images in their family enough to put them in their home.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. You said that perfectly. Gently lead, don't force. I always say lead, assume, suggest, do not force, do not be pushy. That's the opposite of what you should be doing here. So let's talk nuts and bolts of the sales session. Now, this is something, and Kristina knows, that I could talk about literally for 3 days. So we're going to go through this real quick, and if there are additional questions, I would definitely suggest setting up a time to go through with somebody from customer service. You can definitely reach out to us. I'm always happy to help on these, or if you have questions, definitely put them in the chat and we'll answer them live today.
Vicki Toffer does free Zoom meetings too for clients if you want to sign up on our website too.
Definitely, yep. And Vicki does an amazing job. She's a wealth of knowledge there. So step one, slideshow, very important. I set my slideshow for 1 second on screen and 1 second transition in the app. There's a reason behind that, and that sounds like not very much time, but as you are sitting with somebody and they are enjoying the images, it seems to me like it's about the perfect amount of time for them to enjoy it and move on. And it just keeps clicking by, and that slideshow doesn't end up taking 12 minutes to occur.
I don't think it's too fast. I think TikTok suggests like 12 seconds, so I think we're pretty good.
We're doing well there. Yeah. Always use music. Now, the app does not have music built into it, but grab a Bluetooth speaker, run it from your phone, whatever you're going to use for that, but definitely have music. It just kind of takes the edge off. It makes the environment more comfortable. They're enjoying a nice refreshment. They have music going. They're seeing images they love. This is a perfect time to listen. Listen to what people are saying. You're going to hear things like, oh my gosh, that's my favorite. Oh, no, that one's my favorite. Oh, that one's my favorite. How am I ever going to choose? Okay, these are all things that are building you up as you're listening to all of this happening. The slideshow is very, very important. So I am going to end out of the slideshow. Next thing, okay, very important. After the slideshow is done, I want you to pause and I want you to say to your clients, what did you think? And then stop. Let them respond to you. And again, you're going to hear things like, oh my gosh, I love them. How am I going to choose? I don't know how I'm going to do this. It gives you the perfect opportunity to say, I will help you. I've done this before. Just stick with me and I'll help you through to get narrowed down to your images, and we'll get your order all figured out, no problem at all. Okay, so slideshow first, and then you're going to do individual rate and review. So in the app, you're able to go into images one by one, and if we can grab the top down here, and you'll be able to rate them along the side. So you're going to see the smiley face, the medium, and the sad face. So you're going to be able to go through and rate those and start cataloging those images. I have people tell me if it's a yes, a no, or a maybe. The yeses and the maybes always go into one bucket. The no's I take out. And I'm very specific with my clients and say, if you say no, we're not going to look at it again. Okay, I'm going to set that rule real hard because I know if you go back into the no's, you're going to be there all day.
Yeah.
Now, the reason that I keep the yeses and the maybes together, I'll tell you here in just a second. Now, if somebody gets down to 55 images, and you know that there's some in there that are maybe a soft smile and a big smile, but the pose is exactly the same.
Yeah.
You can do comparisons side by side. Now, I know that these two images are not the same, but if you want to, you can do comparisons. It's going to make it easier for people to see expressions one by one. Keep in mind that you can zoom into these. It's really, really slick for doing your
Matt,
sales.
they won't see this. Will they see the smileys?
They will see, well, they don't see them on the side, but as soon as you select which one, it does pop up on the
Okay.
screen as
Okay.
it's moving on here. So magic number. Know your magic number for selling products. Now, if you're new to selling products, in-person sales, or selling products in in-person sales, you're going to take some time to figure this out because it's not just going to come overnight. Do you want to sell people wall portraits? Do you want to sell gift portraits? Do you want to do collages? Do you want to sell albums? Do you want to do all the above? How many images do you need to do this with? Okay, it's very important to not take people down too far. I have done it many, many times where somebody's cutting real hard and I'll just get to a point I'll be like, you know what, let's just stop. I think that all these that you have left are great. I know my net magic number is between 35 and 38. It always lands there. And there's a reason for that. Once you get people to that magic number, whatever that is, I want you to start with the wish list. Just say, you know what, I think that we're at a good number, we're at 38. Let's stop and talk about the products that you're going to want to have. Now, you're going to have a few different clients at this point. You're going to have your really prepared, okay, I've gone through your price list, I've looked at the document you sent me, these are the things we're thinking. Okay, we'll call that one the well-organized one. Then you're going to have, I have no idea what I want, I haven't looked at anything, this is my first senior, my first family portrait, I have no idea. Okay, and then you're going to have, this is my third child. We did this, 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 and this for the first two, we're going to do exactly the same for the third one. Okay. That third one is kind of a challenge, okay? And don't feel bad if you're locked into what the first two did because that's just the way that it works. The middle one, the people that are not prepared, those are the ones that are the most fun, okay?
Yeah.
Because it gives you the power of suggestion, okay? So what I always do to start with, and we're gonna run through here because I have 6 minutes left, always start with the wall portraits. They're your highest profit item, or should be your highest profit item. And you want people to invest in that, okay? So what I always did is I said, okay, for your wall portrait, show me with your hands how big you would like to have for your wall. Okay, well, I'm thinking about this. Okay, well, that's perfect. That's a 20 by 24. Okay, write that down. Now, let's talk about what you need for your office. Okay, well, Dad needs a 8 by 10, and okay, we'll write that down. And it's very important to detail out what those things are for, because at the end, you're going to go back and summarize this order.
Like when they say dad and they say aunt
Yep.
and grandma. Write
Exactly.
that down.
Yep. Write it down, because if you go through and say, okay, I have 16 5x7s for you today, they're going to go, whoa, whoa, whoa. What do I need that for? Okay, well, these are the names that you gave me. And then it just provides an extra level of service. And then in the delivery, you can also label those for people. They'll be like, this is the one that you chose for this person, this is for this person. Go through, make those lists. Make sure and be very detailed. Go through every single product all the way down. Now, you'll notice that I didn't say anything about albums yet. Okay, that's intentional. So just hang with me here for a second. So now, once you have that list built, you're going to go back. You're going to pick out the images for that wall portrait or those wall portraits in the grouping next. Okay, perfect time to revert back to what you were talking about with your wall groupings and just say, you know, did we hit anything perfectly with these wall groupings? What are you thinking about for your living space? Oh, well, I really like that set of 4 that you had. I'm a very symmetrical person. That one really resonates with me. Perfect. Okay, great. So now what we're going to do, we basically have them saying this is what they want to buy. Okay. Now, I always say in my sales sessions, you know what, we're going to go back through your liked images. But this time, I want you to tell me if it's a love or if it's a like, okay? And what they're going to do is they're going to start to be a little bit more particular about the ones they really love or the ones that are kind of like secondary. Okay. Now this is when I start using the smile and the medium. I start to separate them there. Okay. So a couple reasons. It's going to help them tell you exactly the ones they love, and it's also going to make it easier for you to go through and select, because if you're looking at 38 images, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But chances are they're going to go through and say, okay, I love 15 of them, or I love 12 of them.
And those are your wall ones, you're saying?
Wall ones for grandmas, for aunts and uncles, for whatever that may be, for collages, for whatever you're selling to them. So you take them through that process. You're going to narrow that down to the ones they really, really love, and then you're going to have those secondary ones, still totaling 35 to 38 in my world. Go through, have them select all the things. Now, be prepared during that for somebody to say, you know, where am I at? What have I spent, especially if Dad's there? So what I always tell people is, you know what, let's not worry about it right now. Let's just build everything exactly how you would want it, and then at the end, we'll go ahead and total it up. If we need to make some changes, not a problem. We'll do that then.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. You know, no pressure, no pushing, suggestive and assumptive at that point, okay? So once you have gone through and selected all of your images for the products they've used, let's just say out of those 15 that they really love, they've used 9. And out of the total of 38, they still have, if they use 10 of those images, let's just say for easy numbers, there's 28 that they haven't used.
Yeah.
Okay? This is where you sell the album. And you can sell an album in minutes. You know what? You have 38 images total. You use 10 of them for your wall portraits, your gift portraits, all your other products. If it were me, because I know you want to keep these images, I would put those into an album.
Together.
Now, together, yep. And in my world, if you put something in an album, you automatically get the image retouched, edited, and usage for social media. Everybody wants to post everything on social media. It is a slam dunk. Okay? You can literally sell an album that quickly. And the reason I want you to sell it at the end is because if you do it at the beginning, what you're going to hear is people saying, well, I already put that image in the album. I probably don't need it for this because I've already put it in the album. Sell it last.
Yeah.
Okay? So definitely take that away today and try to sell your albums at the end. You will be surprised how often you will do that. Okay, so I have less than 2 minutes. Closing the sale. Okay? Let's move on to that. Ask for the sale. Don't forget to do this. A good salesperson, a good caring person, somebody who is the leader of that sale will always ask for the sale at the end. Give a summary of everything.
Yeah,
Run
what do you mean
through.
by that when you say ask?
Don't be scared.
Got it.
Okay, if you have this whole list out, okay, so you know, Mrs. Jones, I have your set of 4 for the walls. I have 16 5x7s. I see that you wanted this collage. We're going to do this frame on there. We're going to pre-order 100 grad cards because your son doesn't graduate, you know, for another, 6 months. All those things. Okay, so let's just go ahead. I'll get that all totaled up for you. Okay, and don't apologize when you're
Right.
giving out the number. Okay, say, okay, so your total with everything, we've taken your deposit off, is going to be $4,128.33 today. So do you want to take care of that all, or do you want to do half down? Okay, and then stop talking. Okay.
I feel like that's a good advice that you always
Yes,
give.
just stop talking. Now, if there's going to be an objection, that's where you're going to get it right there. Some people are going to be prepared and have knowledge of that. Some people are going to be like, "Whoa, I don't know if I was prepared for that." Okay, no problem. Let's go back and take a peek and let's see if there's something that maybe you added that you might not need. Now, this is the chance where you can be the hero and say, you know what, if it were me, you already have this awesome grouping of 4, you added on this other large print for your family room, I would maybe think about taking that one off. Just because somebody goes, oh my gosh, I wasn't intending on spending $4,000 does not mean that they want to take $3,000 of that order away. They may just want to be like, yeah, if I could just take something off, that way if I get in trouble, I can say, well, I took this off. Don't just assume that they want to cut that order
To make
down.
them feel better
Yes.
and feel,
Yeah.
telling husband or whoever,
Yes,
right, wife,
exactly.
whatever.
Trying to
What did
stay
I-
out of trouble.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And just remember, and this is a hard one for me to learn too, if you get to the end and you give that total and somebody pushes their credit card across the table and says, I'll just pay in full for that today, you have left money on the table.
Then what do you do though?
Well, you learn from that.
Okay.
Okay, so if you have hit the ceiling and you have sold everything that you can to that client, chances are you're going to get a little pushback, or you're going to get somebody to say, you know what, I think I need to maybe look at taking a couple things off. You know that you have maximized that sale. Okay, I'm not saying it's bad if somebody's like, I'll just pay it in full. You know, you do the little happy dance, but just learn from that and understand. And that was something I learned very early on, and it's hard to get through your head. But if you start thinking about that, and somebody passes you a credit card for a $9,000 sale, what you should be thinking is, what could have happened there? What could that sale have been?
Right.
Is it pricing? Is it a lack of products? What is that? And just think about that. I always set up my order pickup at the time of the sale. I go out 6 weeks. You can crucify me if you want, but 6 weeks to me gives me a little time, gives the lab time, it manages the client expectations. You tell them exactly when it's going to be ready, you pre-schedule it so they're not calling you every week and saying, is my order done, is my order done, is my order done, is my order done, is my
I
order done.
also think something that costs that much money feels good that it takes some time to make it, prepare,
Absolutely.
and edit it, right? So I
Yeah.
think that's part of it too.
Yeah, for sure. No,
I think that feels good.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because you can't just go out and buy something custom in 3 days. Now, can we produce it in 3 days? Yes. Should you give it to your clients in 3 days? No. Definitely string that out a little bit longer. It's just going to make your life a whole lot less stressful. Also, at the pickup appointment, very important. If you have a nice flat tabletop surface like this, open everything up, fan it out, set the wall portrait on an easel, lay their album out, put the gift prints out, do the wallets, whatever that may be, and then again, summarize that sale. Okay, here are your 15 5x7s. I have them labeled on the back of who they're supposed to go to. Another little added service. It just completes a sale, and if there is an issue with anything, it's going to be talked about right there, instead of them getting home and saying, oh, I got home and I have a big chunk out of my frame. Okay, well, it wasn't like that when it left here.
Yeah.
So that's a way to try to eliminate some of those potential issues. Always send a thank you card, gift, something to follow up with, a check-in. People like that. I love it when people check in with me on things. So add that to your schedule if you're not doing that right now. And always, 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 in closing here, compare yourself to retail experiences that you enjoy. Restaurants, clothing stores, car dealerships, whatever that is, and wherever you like to shop, and you can walk into that place and feel like, oh man, I'm spending a lot of money, but I'm getting my value here. Take note of how they create that experience for you. So,
Matt, something I hear the kind of cool too when you were talking about if you hit the ceiling with them, you always, like, I hear you direct clients all the time, they make a big collage and it's their biggest sale, a 10 grand wall collage.
Yep.
And they call you and say, I sold it.
Yep.
You say congratulations, but then 2 seconds later you say, okay.
What are you going to do next?
Yes, you always say, right? Because if you can sell it, then you need to up your game, right?
Right.
So I feel like you're always constantly getting people to push higher and higher
Yeah.
because they can, right?
Yes, exactly. And I think it's wonderful. Get there, accomplish it, and now what's next? There's always the what next thing, and that's what we can help with here, in elevate your business to the next level with product, with consultations, with help, with software, all the things.
Yeah.
So I know we've thrown a ton of information at you here in the last 35, 40 minutes. We really appreciate you being with us. If you have questions, feel free to follow up. Make sure to follow us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, check out the website. If you're not using Studio, definitely do it today. It's a wonderful piece of software that will definitely build your business up. So thanks for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again in the future. Take care.